Faced with India's downgrading by global ratings agencies, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh has said that India is impatient for higher growth. He said this during his message to the G20 nations during the ongoing meet in Mexico. In fact, Dr. Singh said that he is confident of bringing the country's growth back to 8 to 9% and that the people are not satisfied with the current rate. Fully backing the growth over austerity, Manmohan Singh promised a level playing field for domestic and foreign investors alike. That confidence of pushing through much-needed reforms stemming from the changed political equations in India in the run-up to the presidential polls. Manmohan Singh also expressed concerns over the Eurozone crisis and pledged $10 billion to the International Monetary Fund to help Eurozone countries.
A strong message, I suggest, should come from the summit of our collective resolve to tackle these problems head-on. There seems to be growing skepticism regarding the effectiveness of the Group of 20, and we have to counter this growing impression.
In fact, for more on this, we are now joined by Senior Editor Javed Ansari from Las Cabos in Mexico. Javed, what was the significance of the PM's intervention at the G20 summit?
There are two significant aspects to the Prime Minister's intervention today at the G20 summit. One was the international component, where he called on the European nations to take the lead, the developed nations amongst the European countries to take the lead in resolving the European crisis. And he also announced that India would make a $10 billion contribution to the IMF watch list to help the institution make its contribution and build a firewall against this crisis. The second was the domestic component, and he used the occasion, the platform provided by the G20 summit, to assure the world that India was committed, that his government was committed to reviving its growth path and going back to the 8 to 9% growth, and also that his government would take all the steps that are necessary, whether in terms of reining in fiscal deficit or on the question of providing a level playing field to both foreign and domestic investors.
Javed, what is the significance of the concluding session of the G20?
The concluding session is also very important. The draft communique will be finalized and issued, and it's most likely to reflect a lot of the views that India has been articulating. One is that there should be greater emphasis and greater investment as far as growth is concerned. G20 will weigh in on the side of growth in the growth versus austerity debate, and the other that the onus is on the European countries to take all the steps that are necessary to resolve this crisis. This is a point that India has been repeatedly making, and this is the point that Prime Minister Manmohan Singh made in his speech at the plenary session of the G20.
Javed, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective. That was Senior Editor Javed Ansari speaking from Mexico, where the G20 summit is taking place.